Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. I have 1 pound of beef here, stew beef, but I want you to see how little it is, but then we'll talk about the protein. See this? This is exactly 1 pound of beef stew. Now you know a pound is 16 ounces. And every 3 ounces is 25 grams of protein. So you sit there and you divide that 3 into 16. Let's drop it down to 15 so it's easier for people who aren't real good in their math. And you're talking that there's 5 25s in 100 pounds into 15 ounces. Wait a minute, I'm losing my math here for a minute. So you go 25, 50, 75, 100, 125. Just think, now there's 3 ounces in a pound with a little more, so we're just gonna go on 15 to make it easy. So this little bit of meat that you see here is 125 grams of protein. Now how much protein do you need per meal? Well, they say 20 grams, but they say 70 is just maintenance. So if you're sick, you need a little more. If you're on a diet, you cut back on your calories, but you've got to keep that protein at 70 for maintenance. Or other than that, you start losing muscle tone. People who tell you to count your calories, you're always missing your protein. But if you count your protein, your calories will always be in check with it. This is why I keep on talking about count your proteins. Now there's no bones in this. This is complete meat. So we're talking 125. So if you needed to feed a family and they needed, let's say they just need 20 grams each, we are talking about this food right here, the meat alone without anything else, you can feed 7 to 8 people. Does that tell you? We are way more than we have to. But that's because a lot of people are not getting the nutrients they need, so they're hungry all the time. So they eat, instead of just eating a little bit, they eat a lot. But the calories are in the food because they're making it more fatty. So then what happens is you eat more because you're trying to get the protein and stuff that you need, and all what you're getting is other stuff, and you get bigger and bigger and bigger. This is why in the 1950s there were a lot of skinny people. The food was much healthier. You can actually look at society as a whole, and if we're blimps, you could sit there and say there's a problem. Now I know that you're one size, and when you have children you usually go up one dress size. When you go through menopause, you go through another dress size. I should know, I went through it. I started out one size, then I had children, but I went up one dress size. Though I was pregnant 3 times, I still went back to that size that I went up from having 1 child. I always went back to that size. And then when I went through menopause, I thought I could I've been holding that weight my whole life. Then when I hit menopause, I went up another dress size. I said, this is ridiculous. But anyway, this is how it goes. So if you're one size, when you have children, you go up 1 more dress size, and then when you go through menopause, you're going to go up 1 more dress size. There's no reason to go any further unless you're not getting your nutrients. So when you see people and they're on the heavy side, it's because they're not getting what they need. Now, it's the same thing if a woman, I can only talk as a woman's point of view. I can't talk a man's point of view, so I do apologize on that. But a woman sits there and goes through labor, and if she's in a lot of pain and they have to do episiotomy, this is where they have to cut her down there to get the baby out. She can't stretch or anything. She's not that healthy. And pregnant women like to diet because they still want to hold on to their figure. But the thing is that your body has to make milk, and it will do it in spite of what you do. It will make milk for that baby. The baby needs to nurse. On top of that, those muscles are going to have to expand. They're feeding you, and they're feeding that baby. So if you don't get enough, it's, like I said, it's Peter robbing Paul. If the body's going to do this, it's going to rob from one to take to the other. And it doesn't mean the baby's going to get it. But it doesn't mean you're going to get it either. The body will stretch it out as far as it can, and then in time, the human body, the mother, will pay the price. So it's very important that through pregnancy you allow the body to do what it has to. We used to get big. In my time, we didn't have these tiny little bellies. I mean, we filled out, you know, because we knew we had to nurse that child. Now, and believe you me, you could tell a pregnant woman, she waddled down the street. But you give her 9 months to a year after she has that baby, and she goes right back down. So let me go ahead and get stuff to get this started today, because we have some nice weather today, and I decided I'm going to do a stew, a simple one, maybe spicy. I don't know yet. I haven't decided how I really want to put this thing together yet, but I did know that I wanted stew today. So let me get the other stuff and I'll be back. I know we're having beef, but I'm going to use, I don't know if I gave you this one, but if I make it again, I'll give it to you. Lamb seasonings I'm going to use. I just happen to like the smell of it, and I think it'll be different, which I want to do. So I got my discard here, my culture discard. I'm going to use it instead of buttermilk or yogurt, because I use that in a lot of other things, so I don't have to make it as much. I'm going to put a good coating in here. Let's say about 1/4 of a cup of seasonings. And you say, isn't that a lot of seasonings? Of course it is. But remember, I have a lot of flavors. I sit there and I use rice with stalks and brown rice, or I'll add my gelatins that I've made, or the bone broth. So I've got all these flavors going. So when you add just a little bit of seasonings, they can get lost in there. So I have a tendency to be a little heavy-handed with my seasoning, because I'm bringing all these other flavors. So I want to bring this whole dish to a flavor. So I'm going to mix this up. So that's why I use and cook the way I do, and you see me heavy-handed with my seasonings. If I'm making desserts and stuff, I pretty much stay in the seasoning range. But when I do my main meals and stuff, I'll do this. I usually keep my salads, well, I go on all directions in salads. I think you've already noticed that. When it comes to doing vegetables, I usually keep my vegetables pretty much on the plain side, because they have such a rich flavor that they can pretty much stand on their own. No, I do want to take cauliflower and make steaks out of it, and I'd like to season it and pour tomato sauce on them, and put cheese on them, almost make them. I think I could make a sandwich out of it, you know? Like make an egg, you know how you make an eggplant sandwich? Well, I'm wondering, could I make cauliflower steaks and put them into a sandwich like that? But put the cheeses and stuff like you would a lasagna, except you're not using the lasagna. Or like when you use the eggplant, could we use the cauliflower like that? And how would that come out? Here I go thinking again. As my husband used to say, you're dangerous when you start thinking. But it was a joke in the house. So let me go get the rest of the stuff together, and we'll start braising these, which means we are going to be browning them. Searing is something that's much different, but we're going to be braising these. Okay, I turned my pan on. I've got the meat here underneath you and the flour, and this is flour that I sifted from making other dishes. I'm always talking about what I'm doing. And I do sift this flour. If you ask me what's in it, I know panko's in it, I know whole wheat's in it, but that's about as far as I can go. I can't remember the other stuff I put in there. So I was looking for some whole grains that I have. I wanted to put in here, and I said, well, I don't feel like opening up the whole grains that just came in because that's a lot. So I haven't decided. But I think I'm going to try bulgur, cooking bulgur with this. Because you hear me all the time trying different things, so why not try some bulgur? I'm going to toss the meat now into the flour. So let me turn you down. Why not try it? It's cracked wheat. That's all it is, and I've used the whole wheat cooking with it, so why not? I know I'm going to add some mushrooms to this, some carrots maybe. I'm still deciding what I want to put in it. Some wine might be nice. I've got stock in there. I got a lot of stock. I should hold off on the wine so I could do that with other dishes. That's why I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think that's why chefs use wine, because they don't have a lot of flavor, so they're building up on flavor. So I sat there and did inventory, going into my inventory to see what I have and don't have, so I could start in doing what I have to do again. Facebook says that I can make a fan club. I don't know how to do it. I have to figure out how to do it. I'm not sure. This is all new to me, so I have to work at it. Give me a little bit of time. If I make a fan club, that'd be nice. Then we all could really talk to each other, I guess. I gotta see how it works. Yes, if you notice my pan's a little lopsided, yes. We had a couple of earthquakes. It sort of shifted a little. Matter of fact, since I've been in this home, I think we've had 2 or 3 earthquakes. The last one we had, one of my sons was asleep upstairs. He woke up and he went to say, "Mommy, why are you hitting the bed to wake me up?" And he said everything was shaking in the room. I said, "Yeah, we had an earthquake." I was downstairs. I heard it, because you'd have to be upstairs to feel it was shaking. I was reading up on YouTube, so they told me I could make a fan club. And they said you have to tell everybody, join, join, join. But I think if somebody offers you something that you need, people will come and watch. That's how I feel. I might feel a little weird at saying that, but yelling at people and telling them to join the page or something that you're doing isn't really good. If somebody yells at me, I'm definitely not going to be listening. So I will do it this way. If you're learning from me, I am very happy to make you a better cook in the kitchen, and that your children will be healthier and your family will be healthier, and that you and your loved ones can have a long life together. I can't get over that Culture Discard does such a wonderful job. I know, I'm going to break the rules now. You're not supposed to add oil while there's meat cooking in it. But what am I doing? Breaking a rule that I should not be doing. All right, go on. You can yell at me. I'll hear it. And there's no bones in this meat. Remember that. So this is all sheer protein. If you have bones in it, it throws you off a bit. So I would buy extra that has bones in it. Just like the old saying, ground sirloin, chuck. You know, you have to decide if you want the extra fat, or you have to buy chuck. Please remember that you're going to lose a lot of the weight. So you buy a pound, you might be getting 3/4 of a pound because there's a lot of fat in it. So when you get the leaner ones, you have to be careful that you don't overcook them because they get tough. But then you can count for every protein that you have. You can say, I know this meat has this protein in it because you've got it on the lean side. Now, I am not going to proceed to explain how this artificial meat goes. I'm not going there. And I won't recommend it. And to sell the product, they're going to chefs to have them, you know, doctor it up and stuff and make it taste good. So be very careful, because I will not go there. Come on. Guys are absorbing all my oil. We'll get it out of that. I have to stick this meat flour again, I mean. That Discard Culture does a wonderful job in browning. I've done it. I've put it in my breads, my biscuits, my muffins, and everything that I work with it is beautiful. It comes out. So there's really no waste with it. which makes it really handy for us who get in that kitchen and cook. This way, we're not wasting to the earth. Oh, I can't wait till I get these trash cans. Believe you me, I cannot wait. Because I'm going to actually show how much plastic that the companies pump into us, and they tell us we're the problem. See, paper you can burn. Cans you can reuse. Bottles we used to take back to the company. We had to wash them at home and then bring them back to the company, and they would sit there and reuse them. They would clean them, sterilize them, and they would recycle. But wait till I get all of that plastic and I can sit there and say, see? Like our mayor talks about, we have a rat infestation in the metropolitan area. Now, everybody knows hawks and owls eat rats. Rats come out at night. They hunt at night. Hello? But he says, get these trash bins. They're a pretty penny. They cost $50, $60 a piece. And the thing is that when you think about it, the rats aren't going to eat. They're not going to be able to get to the scraps and stuff. So there's a good chance you'll be walking down the street. A small child could be bit. A baby in a carriage they will attack. They will attack people in the streets because they're hungry. So they're going to attack. Talk to anybody who's been in jungle warfare. They'll tell you. They do. And they get very big. I can see rats getting into shelters, into apartment buildings. Babies are sleeping in their cribs and you're going to find rats in there with the babies. Listen, this is not going to be a pretty sight. What they should do is use nature. Nature is so well balanced in my book. I mean, I have that gopher that got a hole in the middle of my garden, right between the tomatoes and the asparagus. And he's got a deep hole. I stuck a stick in it, and I went pretty far, and it was a pretty deep hole. He kicked all that dirt, and I'm just looking at it and said, you're making a mess, and I'm going to have to fill this hole up, and you're going to like it. And so you think about it. We can use natural things, but they don't want to think about that. And somebody's going to get upset and say something, oh, an owl attacked my little dog. Put your dog on a leash. Just as simple as that. They won't attack it. But that's what we're getting ready to do. I can't believe what they're doing. I'm trying to taste to remember what I put in this, but I can't. Excuse me. I'm going to put a fourth of a cup of bulgur in here to cook with this. And we'll see how it comes out. I mean, I put whole grains in, so no reason the bulgur wouldn't work, right? this is going to have a nice smell when I get done with it. It's already smelling nice. The beauty of stocks and stuff. The only reason I'm adding extra fluid is because I'm going to be adding vegetables in here after a while. Now we're going to bring that to a boil. I'll leave this out because I'll probably need it. And that's it pretty much for now. We're going to bring this to a boil and turn it down on simmer, and we're going to cook them till tender before we get ready to add our vegetables in. And I really don't know what I'm going to add yet. I'm still thinking about it. So I'm moving you right now so I can get stuff going. So I'll see you then as we move along with this stew. Okay, I'm going to cut 3 scallions up. Scallops. Scallions. Okay, I'm having my day. I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 7 mushrooms left over from that dish that I made, so I'm going to throw them in as well. Instead of using regular onions and everything else, I just said, yeah, I'm going in a different direction. And I think I'm going to try some black garlic today, as I bought it, but I haven't used it yet. But it caught my interest when I heard somebody mention. I said, black garlic, I had never heard of this. Said it's really good, so we're going to find out. I had to add more stock because the bulgur soaked it up, which happens sometimes when you use whole grains. You have to check to make sure. If you don't like mushrooms, you don't have to put them in. I'm just trying different things. Most people, you know, they're going to put a bell pepper in, they're going to put an onion, the celery, and carrot, salt, pepper. See, I already know because I remember my mother making it. She put turnips in it. If she didn't use potatoes, she'd have turnips in it. For people who don't like turnips, they would definitely put potatoes in place of it. But I have put green beans in my stews. I put different things in it. So we never know what we're going to get next. But I will serve this over rice. Remember that stew meat is very small, tender pieces. So I'm not going to cook them for hours and hours and hours. They should get done in a hurry. I'm just putting this in a bowl, so I can sort of collect it all. When you prepare a stew, also think of color, which is very, very important. If you forget the color, it looks bland and they don't want to eat it. So always think of color as well. I'll be right back. Okay, I got 2 carrots. I'm not making a chunky stew, as you can see. Oh yes, I'm going to put a celery rib in it. Remember, these are called ribs. This is called the stock. I've heard people sit there and say, just get 2 of these or 1 of these or something. The name of it is a rib. They're the ribs. Don't you think that's enough vegetables? I think so. I'm just over here stirring it, checking it out. We're gonna have to get some more seasonings in here when we add this and salt and pepper. I'm thinking about using red pepper. Because they have more of a kick to it, so I think that'd be nice. I'm gonna go ahead and put this into the stew. We definitely have to add more liquid to this. It's really thick. You have to cook these vegetables down. So we'll let this continue cooking while I get the red peppercorns and smash them up and get some salt. Do you know, as a membership, we can play games? I didn't know we could do that. And I said, oh, I like this idea. They say these red peppercorns have a kick to them. I don't think it'll be that bad of a kick. But if it does, I'm going to be putting a lot of butter in this dish. I mean, they're really red. I'll show you. I don't want to drop it because they're a bit on the expensive side. See? called a mortar and pestle. Most people will have, who cook, will have one in their home. Sometimes you have to, they are strong when you start smashing them up. But sometimes you need to make a paste or something, and they just come. Don't get a wooden one. They're better off if you get them a stone like this. They're heavier, but you're guaranteed they'll do a good job. I've never used a wooden one. I've always used a stone, so I'm not sure about the wooden ones, but I would assume the wooden ones would take up a lot of the flavor and the oils and stuff that you smash into it. Whereas this one, I can wash it out if I get that point. But I don't wash it out when I'm just using dry herbs like that. Now, I have to taste this. Give me a minute, and then I'll turn you around. I knew I was chopping, and I didn't want to do it in the back. But here's the dish so far I'm putting together. Now these are what we call teaspoon for iced tea, and I'll show you why. I'm just going to use the water glass. We sweetened our tea at the table. They didn't come pre-sweetened, I think. So what we did when you put the ice in and you poured the tea, you'd put sugar in it. But the regular spoon would be down here. So when you tried to stir, you couldn't stir. So they made these extra long spoons so you could put it in here and stir. And see how much higher it is? That's where we got these from. And that's why they were used a lot. But today things have changed so much. Those are the seasonings I used earlier. Now see, I used the bulgur, and you can see this is thicker. That's why I used it cooking with the meat. I could use bulgur, I could use any whole grain I wanted. It gives a thickening to it because I want to put it over rice. And bulgur has the B vitamins and stuff, so I don't really have to worry about that. We got that down. Tasting for salt, actually. We can let that cook now. It's a mild one. I told you I wasn't making a real spicy one. I just wanted more of a quiet stew today. Now when I boil these vegetables down and I make my stocks, what am I going to do with what am I going to do with it next? I'm going to take what's left overs and I'm going to bury it in the garden. And let the yard take care of it. Okay, this just has to cook pretty much now and just let the flavors mingle and get the vegetables done, and then that's done. Just serve it over rice. I'll be making a rice later, a little later. I've got dishes in the sink and stuff I want to clean up before I move forward on this, but that is a very simple stew with what I had in the house and nothing spectacular. Though I call it a stew, it's going to be served over rice and I'm going to serve a green salad with it. And I made this beautiful, oh, it is so good. It was basil and tarragon vinaigrette, which really surprised me. I didn't think it was going to turn out that well, sort of hemming and hawing, but it turned out very, very nice. And it's an old recipe, yet my mother never used it. She always liked that basic one that I know by heart because I made it every night, so I was very familiar with it. So I will see you later. Okay, this stew is done. I just have to let the carrots finish cooking. There's no more that I'm going to be adding to it. So this is what it looks like. Still bubbling, but it should be done completely in about 5 minutes with the carrots because I thin cut them because I didn't want them big and chunky because the stew beef wasn't big and chunky, and you don't want to have big chunky vegetables when you have smaller cuts of stew beef when you're making a stew. So you try to get them pretty much in the same vein. So anyway, I want you to have a great day today. The weather is beautiful. I hope it is where you're at. I mean, this is really lovely weather, but it's making me think autumn's coming very early this year. So take care. Bye-bye.